A lot of owners hit 2, 3, or even 5 million and start thinking about, okay, what is next? Am I ready for that next location? Am I ready for that next service line or trade? My quick take, maybe, but probably not yet. They don't know how to hire. They can't find the help that they need. They can't build their team. They just don't really know what to do next. But what you really have to do is you have to figure out how to break through that wall. We are at the point where I can't just go out and work harder and do more. I have to actually develop a system to run this process for me. It's easy to think I have to go do that other thing because you already know the steps to go from 0 to 1, but you don't know the steps to go from 1 to 5, and that's what's going to get you. Revenue growth is not automatically good. A lot of contractors chase revenue because it's 1, a big number, and 2, kind of easy to identify. Revenue doesn't mean the business is better. Revenue doesn't mean the business is healthy. It doesn't mean that the business is valuable. There's a lot of very public displays, including Air Pros, who's doing $220 million of revenue, and they went bankrupt. They blew up. For most of my career, we focused on revenue, but we weren't really paying much attention at all to, hey, is our profit growing? Is our EBITDA growing? Is our cash balance growing? And what I found to be funny was the bigger the business, the less they talk about revenue. They're talking about EBITDA. They're talking about their gross margin. They're talking about almost everything else but revenue, because that is the real thing to measure that drives the value of the business going forward. When you're small, it's hard to imagine what big actually looks like. At 2 million, you think, everybody knows us and we're everywhere and people tell me they see our trucks. We must be close to the top. The reality is you're not. Like, you are likely so far from the top, just like I am so far from the top. I'm nowhere near the top of our market. You're capped by yourself and your ability to drive new systems in lead generation, sales, pricing, recruiting, dispatch, and leadership, and everything else it takes to run a business. The next trade or location feels easier because you already know the steps. Okay, I know how to go from 0 to $2 million, and I bet I could do it faster next time. If you've not really learned how to scale one location, you're not going to magically learn how to scale 2. And before you assume that the market is too small, you should go out and do some shop tours. Find somebody that you can go see, because I think it's hard for someone to imagine what big looks like. I know I could have never imagined what Wilson has become. It was just so far out of my mindset. A good friend of mine in Chicago came to me last year. He said, hey, I'm thinking about adding HVAC, and they're a plumbing only shop. It's a huge inspirational business. We had that conversation, and it was, would you rather be broad or deep? Do you want to be experts at this one thing that you are clearly doing best in class? Why would you dilute yourself from that one thing in order to just sort of chase the next thing? And it was because he had hit an inflection point. Before we dive into whether or not you need to be adding this new trade or new location, I think we need to be diving into the numbers. Are you seeking growth because you're not being disciplined with your financials? Do you know what your profits are? Are you chasing revenue to cover increasing overhead? Or do you run a tight ship? Are you consistently putting 15 or 20% to the bottom line month after month? Outside of that, are you running a good operation? Do you have KPIs? Do you know what each truck is producing, and is it producing what it should be? Are techs running with full boards? Do you have a marketing system? Are you booked out forever, or is dispatch really messy? Is your average ticket good, or is it below market? Is your closing rate healthy? Are you priced correctly? And can you bring on more trucks? Do you have enough leads? And if you don't have enough leads, do you have a plan to get more leads? If you're thinking about adding new services like HVAC or electric or whatever, you need to be thinking, is the current trade systematized and optimized? If your plumbing business is broken, HVAC is not going to fix it. All it's going to give you is just 2 broken departments. For most owners out there, going deeper is going to be the thing that makes the most sense. If you're already doing 2 million in plumbing, you should do 10 million in plumbing. This is usually the better move for smaller contractors because you haven't yet figured out your core business, and you need to figure out your core business before you add complexity. And that's why going deeper is like the most straightforward path for most owners, is because you have to figure out how to fix the core problem. Adding a new truck and a new tech to your business should feel like pouring gas on a fire. A lot of owners are pouring gas on like wet wood, and it's not really going anywhere, and they're wondering, why isn't this lighting? Well, it's because you thing was never on fire in the first place. Scale ready is knowing your KPIs, knowing what a truck should be producing, being able to fill the board and having a system for that, having good training, good pricing, and having a strong operations team that can help drive the business forward, including yourself. Occasionally, going broader, adding new service lines can make sense. A new trade is not just more revenue, it is an entirely different business. You are going to have different techs, different suppliers, different pricing, and it is complicated. The longer you can stay one trade, the better. Going broad can make sense when the current business can support. Are you doing 10, 15, 20, $50 million? I am more open to hearing new trades when that is the case. Can make sense if you're the right size, producing strong gross margins, strong net profit, and the business is continuing to scale. If you're thinking about adding that next trade or next location, what you are probably trying to figure out is how to solve your existing problem. And the thing that I want to encourage each and every one of you to do is think about scale as a system. We are just going to go build a system for whatever the current problem is. So is the reason that we're thinking about another location because it feels like leads have dried up where we are? Okay, well, if that's the case, leads probably have not dried up where you are. How do we go access those other leads? How do we build a system to drive more leads? How do we build a system to test new channels, to capture more leads, to call our customers, to text them, whatever that is? How do we build that system to solve for that problem? Because inevitably you will have the same issue at any location you are ever in. You're always going to come upon a problem, an inflection point, and it's your job to figure out how to break through that with whatever system will resolve that inflection point. Scale is often not just doing more, it's creating these systems that allow you to do much higher volume. The danger that we all run into is bottlenecks. We become the bottlenecks, our team becomes the bottlenecks, whatever becomes the thing preventing us from scale. If you remove bottlenecks, the business is going to start naturally growing. The way that we're deploying this into businesses that we buy this year is we go and buy these $1 to $5 million shops. We bring our marketing system, our call center, our dispatch, our purchasing. We bring the Wilson playbook into these businesses and they grow pretty rapidly. It's a repeatable system that we can deploy into any plumbing, HVAC, electric business wherever we want. And now we're just buying these businesses and we're starting to add our system to it and allowing them to flourish. So before you expand, before you add more trucks, before you start chasing those dollars, think to yourself, why am I thinking about doing this? What problem is having me walking down this path? And how can I instead implement a system to resolve this problem for me? If you like what you heard, make sure you like and sub. And if you want to hear more of my thoughts on home service, check out our podcast, Owned and Operated. We're a top 200 business podcast. We also have a newsletter and are very active on socials. Check out those links below.